Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we've pulled together a really dense stack of sources, reports, industry forecasts, economic analyses, all focused on Italy's tourism sector.
And we're not just looking at a simple recovery here.
No, not at all. We are tracking what looks like a radical transformation where Italy is really defining a new standard for global travel.
It's a fascinating paradox, really. They're balancing that traditional mass appeal, the mega cruise ships, the iconic landmarks, with this surprisingly deep, hyper-local authenticity. It's a very difficult tightrope to walk.
Exactly. So our mission for you today is simple. We're diving into the numbers to find those true nuggets of knowledge that show where Italy is leading globally. And this isn't just about Rome or Florence.
Right. It's about these unexpected new champions, whether they're world-class airports or, as we'll see, even regional farms. We need to figure out what the sheer volume of travelers is telling us about their dominance in big infrastructure and, crucially, how digital tools are both powering and, well, maybe threatening sustainable growth.
Okay, let's unpack this. And let's start massive right on the water. When we talk about global travel dominance, specifically the cruise industry, Italy is, it's the undisputed champion of the Mediterranean.
Oh, absolutely. The forecasts for 2025 are staggering. The reports are predicting 15.3 million cruise passengers,
Wow.
which is nearly a 7% jump over 2024. But what's really fascinating is how dominant that figure is within the region.
Give us the breakdown on that because the percentages are really telling, aren't they?
They are. So Italy accounts for 35% of all cruise passengers in the entire Mediterranean. That's already huge.
Sure is.
But if you look specifically at the really high-value segments, passengers embarking or disembarking,
Yeah.
Italy handles a colossal 45% of that traffic.
And that's the more important number, right? Because that's where the real money is.
Exactly. Those are the passengers starting or ending their journey, spending days in hotels, buying services, generating the highest economic impact. Italy is the primary start and finish line.
And that economic engine is just enormous. The sector generates, 15.6 billion and employs over 93,000 workers.
Which is a staggering 25% of the entire European cruise workforce.
A quarter of the whole continent's workforce.
Yes, and that dominance is reflected in the ports. Of the Mediterranean's top 20 ports for this year, 9 are Italian. Civitavecchia, that's the port for Rome, is ranked second overall, expecting 3.45 million passengers.
And they're not just managing the volume, they're future-proofing it.
That's a great way to put it. Italy holds a 40.5% share of EU production for new cruise ships scheduled for delivery through 2028. So they're not just managing traffic.
They're building the future of the industry itself.
They're a global industrial leader in the space.
And what's fascinating is that the land-based infrastructure is matching that level of excellence. You'd think that volume would mean chaos when you land, but Rome's main airport, Fiumicino, is proving the exact opposite.
Right. Fiumicino, the Leonardo da Vinci airport, has been recognized as the best airport in Europe for the 8th year in a row.
8th. In its category for hubs over 40 million passengers.
And they scored a record 4.61 out of 5.
A 4.61 is exceptionally high for a hub that large. What do you think is contributing to that? Is it purely staff behavior, or is there something logistical at play?
It's a mix, but the sources emphasize the investment in staff and really just optimizing the passenger journey. They won specific subcategories like most dedicated staff, cleanest airport, and most tellingly, easiest airport journey.
Easiest journey, that's the key.
It is. And get this, Fiumicino is the only large international hub, alongside Singapore, to win all categories of awards in that global survey. That tells you this is truly world-class delivery.
That is massive validation, and they're so proud of it. They even launched a whole campaign with a new mascot, Adrix, some kind of interstellar ambassador of innovation.
A bit whimsical, maybe.
It is, but it signals that they are taking the entire passenger experience, even the branding, extremely seriously.
So we know Italy can handle a volume on the sea and in the air, but the deeper reports suggest volume isn't the goal anymore.
Authenticity is.
Exactly. And that search for authenticity brings us to the biggest paradox in modern travel, the digital frontier.
Right. Digital tools are just essential now. The reports back this up completely. Over 70% of Italians book their vacations online.
And that number just skyrockets for younger people.
Yeah.
It's over 80% for 16 to 17-year-olds.
And the expectation is set. Almost 2/3 of people think AI and new platforms will bring major benefits within the next 6 months.
But here's the tension. Digital is a powerful driver for sure, But if it's not managed properly, it risks just funneling a flood of tourists into the same few overcrowded spots.
So the challenge is making sure digital tools actually counteract over-tourism, not just turbocharge it.
Precisely.
Can digital really solve the problem it helps create? The reports say Italians are cautiously optimistic. About 65% believe AI can optimize visitor flows. How would that work in practice?
Probably a combination of things. Dynamic pricing, maybe reservation systems for public spaces, real-time data feeding travelers away from choke points. And even more encouraging, over 81% of digitized users say online apps actually encourage them to discover less traveled spots. So the potential is there.
But the desire for responsible travel brings us to what the sources call the green paradox.
Ah, yes. The conflict between intention and action.
A big one. There's growing interest in sustainability, but cost remains the ultimate barrier for most people.
We see a clear conflict in the data. A massive 67.5% of Italians say they prefer eco-friendly facilities.
What?
But only if the price is exactly the same as the traditional alternative. That price sensitivity just overrides good intentions for the majority of the market.
Yes, but the youth demographic provides that powerful counter-narrative, and that's where the market is headed.
Definitely. Younger generations are setting new expectations. Over two-thirds of 16 to 17-year-olds are willing to pay a premium for eco-friendly places.
So the demand is there, or at least it's coming.
It is, and yet the industry hasn't figured out the funnel yet. While general platforms like Booking or Airbnb are used by nearly 70% of people,
The green ones are lagging.
way behind. Only 19% use sustainability-focused alternatives like Airbnb. Most people haven't even heard of them. The big platforms still dominate, regardless of intent.
And to protect the integrity of this whole digital system, the Italian government has had to step in and confront a really dark side of it all: fake reviews.
This is a critical move. Fraudulent reviews completely undermine trust, and the government has recognized this as a serious threat to transparency.
And the new law is pretty unique in its scope, isn't it?
It is. It's quite clever. The new law punishes both the people who post the fake reviews and the businesses who solicit or pay for them.
Oh, so the hotel owner who buys five-star reviews is just as liable.
Exactly. This isn't just bureaucracy. It directly benefits you, the traveler, by trying to ensure the authenticity of that five-star agritourism you're looking at. It's an essential mechanism to restore trust. And moving away from those digital challenges, we see this massive, measurable pivot towards authenticity and niche experiences, what people are calling slow travel.
The numbers on agritourism are genuinely unexpected. This blend of agriculture and hospitality is absolutely booming. The value of production rose by over 15% last year.
To almost 1.9 billion, and guest numbers hit 4.5 million, an 11% increase.
What's really significant is that foreign guests now slightly outnumber Italians. They make up 51%, and their growth rate was a staggering 17.6%.
So this isn't just a domestic trend. International travelers are actively seeking out this specific, authentic farm-to-table experience that you just can't replicate anywhere else.
And it's not just about, sleeping on a farm. The reports show that tasting services, so dining, wine, local food, saw the highest growth.
Which confirms that strong connection between agritourism and quality made-in-Italy food. And we're seeing these regional champions emerge in places like Tuscany, Bolzano, even Sicily.
This deep search for immersion leads us to a uniquely Italian concept designed specifically for this kind of slow tourism: the albergo diffuso.
The scattered hotel.
Okay, let's unpack that because it sounds like a dream. But how is it structurally different from just renting an Airbnb in some village?
Well, the concept is brilliant, and it's inherently sustainable. It's the ultimate form of circular tourism because it restores existing, often abandoned, buildings in historic villages.
So no new construction.
No new building, no urban sprawl. You avoid the carbon costs entirely. Guests stay in rooms that are scattered throughout the village, all within maybe 200 meters of a central reception area.
So you're basically living like a local in historic village housing, but you still get full hotel services.
Precisely. You are temporarily a resident, not just a visitor. The sources highlight incredible examples, like the Sextantio locations. Imagine your room is literally set into the Sassi of Matera.
Wow.
Or you're staying in a restored medieval village in Abruzzo, and breakfast is served in a 13th century church. It's sustainability paired with deep historical immersion.
That desire to slow down and immerse is measurable, too. We've seen huge growth in the Italian trails sector, the long-distance walking paths.
We have. About 1.4 million overnight stays along those trails this year. That's a 6% increase. and almost 200,000 walkers.
Which is a 29% jump. What stands out to me is the motivation. People are walking for nature and well-being, sure, but a full 26% are doing it for inner or spiritual reasons.
They're seeking connection. And the reflection time is intense, even if the walks themselves are getting a bit shorter, averaging around 7.5 days now. People want that deep connection, but they have less time.
So they're choosing shorter, more intentional journeys.
This focus on authenticity and quality feeds directly into Italy's broader global reputation. The country recently surpassed both Greece and Spain in the European Tourism Reputation Index.
Ranking first in destination popularity and search interest globally, that's a huge win.
It is, though the report does flag a weakness.
Yeah.
They rank fourth in social reputation, so they're better at commanding traditional attention than, say, online buzz. It ties back to that digital tension.
Culturally, Rome and Florence still lead the pack. The Colosseum is still the most reviewed attraction, but a really profound structural shift is happening in the museum world.
This is fascinating. The Leonardo da Vinci Museum, which focuses on innovation, actually surpassed the historic Uffizi Gallery in terms of its digital footprint.
Okay, what does digital footprint actually mean here, and why is that suddenly more important than just ticket sales?
Digital footprint is their total online engagement, social media reach, user-generated content, reviews, mentions, all of it. So while the Uffizi is still the most visited physically, the Da Vinci Museum's success shows that digital engagement is now key to sustained cultural relevance.
So it's not enough to just have the masterpieces anymore.
You have to prioritize innovation and online dialogue. It's essential to the mission now.
That's a huge insight. And beyond museums, there's another high-value niche surging that emphasizes authenticity: wedding tourism.
Absolutely. Over 15,000 foreign weddings in Italy this year, up over 11%. Those guests generated 4 million overnight stays. And the trend strongly favors authentic, non-big city experiences.
Which brings us back to the road trip revival, leveraging the physical landscape as a cultural experience. The government is backing this massive project, the 100 Most Beautiful Roads of Italy.
The goal here isn't just scenic, it's economic. They want to certify these roads to revitalize rural areas, ensuring the journey itself becomes the destination.
So the road becomes a literal vehicle for cultural and culinary exploration, protecting all the small businesses along the way.
Exactly. The villages, the dairies, the agritourisms, the historic churches that might otherwise just fade away. The first certified example is the Lovertelio Road in Lombardy, and they're reviewing others, like the famous Strada della Fora. It really emphasizes that every part of the country is a potential point of discovery.
So to conclude our deep dive, we have to talk about maybe the most surprising story of economic adaptation we found, one driven by huge external forces: climate change.
This is perhaps the most fascinating and frankly jarring story in all our sources. Sicily is rapidly turning into Europe's primary garden for tropical fruits.
I would have expected citrus or maybe some exotic grapes, but converting farmland for mangoes and papayas? That must be a massive capital risk.
It is, but the climate shifts are making that risk worth taking. Balustrade is now known as the Italian capital for mango production,
And we're even seeing the first coffee plantation in the northern hemisphere near Palermo.
which doubled its production in just 1 year.
And the economic incentive is it's immediate and powerful. It's what's driving this rapid adaptation.
A crate of traditional lemons might sell for, what, €5?
Right. And a similar sized crate of locally grown mangoes can fetch 10 times that amount. That level of revenue transformation is why this is catching on so fast.
But success depends entirely on sustainable practices. The climate may be favorable, but these crops require really intensive water management and low pesticide use to maintain that premium quality.
It's a high-stakes balance between environmental shifts and sustainable farming. We've covered a huge amount of ground today. Italy is leading the world by being simultaneously massive in infrastructure, dominating cruises, world-class airports, while prioritizing these intensely local experiences.
It's adapting through high-value niches like agritourism and wedding tourism, and it's confronting the digital era head-on. The data confirms Italian tourism is thriving not just by attracting volume, but by consciously using digital tools to promote authenticity and sustainability in its lesser-known rural and even climatologically altered regions.
The whole country is being redefined.
It really is.
So here's a final provocative thought for you to explore, connecting all these threads. We've seen that the cultural success of a museum now depends on its digital footprint, and the economic success of a farm can depend on climate change. If digital fame and physical environment are now equally important to tourism success, which unexpected Italian region currently famous for traditional crops, will be the next to pivot and become a champion of a surprising new product or experience, something to mull over until our next deep dive.